If you asked me 5 years ago if I'd ever consider adding an arm day to my program, I would have laughed at you. Even years before that, when I was a complete beginner, I hated training my arms. I couldn't tell you why exactly, but for some reason, I've always dreaded the thought of doing curls. From a bodybuilding perspective, this is, of course, a terrible thing. A well built pair of arms will completely transform the way you look, and underdeveloped arms, well, no one wants to be that guy. Things have changed though. It's been a slow climb, but I've come to realize the error of my ways. I now view arm training in a completely new light, and I hope with this video, maybe you will too. The first link in the Arm Training is Badass chain was created about 2 years ago when I read what many consider to be the most motivational strength training book of all time, Dinosaur Training. It was here I first learned how exciting and effective odd object lifting can be. Within days of finishing that book, I had made my first sandbag out of a thrift store canvas bag and some rocks. Soon after that, I noticed a stone sitting in my yard for the first time and decided to pick it up, and the rest is history. It took me a while to get serious about stone and sandbag lifting, but once I really got into it, I became hooked for life. Something I didn't know before is that often the main limiting factor when lifting odd objects is the arms. Because stones are awkward and sandbags are bulky, it takes tremendous arm strength to do anything with them. While I thought this was pretty interesting, it still wasn't enough on its own to make me consider adding an arm day to my program. Much as I had before, I figured the heavy lifting itself would take care of things. To a certain extent, I was correct here. Stone lifting has added a lot of strength and size to my forearms and biceps specifically, but it took another bit of motivation, this time in the form of a video to see the real power of direct arm work. I'll admit I can be a hard sell when it comes to newer YouTube channels, but one guy who won me over pretty quick was Natural Hypertrophy. It was his video on the Farnese Hercules that finally connected the dots for me on arm specialization. This statue represents the pinnacle of what I hope to achieve in terms of aesthetics, and though I was, for the most part, already on my way there, I was neglecting one important detail: the arms. Whatever the truth may be, the Hercules represents to me the ideal physique of someone who earned their muscle through manual labor and competitive sport. Most of this seems pretty straightforward at first glance. Of course, a grappler would need a strong neck and back and core and legs, but the biceps aren't so readily obvious. All this time, I'd mostly assumed that biceps are the frivolous muscles of the modern day gym bro. Bench and curls, right? But this couldn't be further from the truth. NH's video led me down a path of exploring aesthetic ideals from the past. What was seen as the ideal body type for a man existing in a time when hard work and strength was still required by most? Surely their view on body shape would reflect the need for men who possessed functional ability, and this is exactly what you see. Picking things up off the ground and carrying them around would have been a large part of everyday life for many, whether it was raw material they were lifting for building purposes, or other people they were lifting for sport, or whatever other reasons you can think of. Carrying things would have been a necessary functional skill. Walking around with heavy things develops all of those muscles you see on the Hercules sculpture: a thick back and traps, a huge butt, thick and well-developed abs and obliques, and of course, big arms. I also assume the Hercules was involved in wrestling, which, like odd object lifting, requires tremendous arm strength in a flexed position. Constantly pulling with bent arms would of course lead to bigger biceps. This is very different from most of the heavy lifting we see today, where straight arms are the name of the game. Add all of these components together and you have a strong case for direct arm training for the strength enthusiast. Whereas before I viewed arm work as unnecessary in my quest for functional muscle, I now realize it's crucial for long-term success. For those of you out there who never cared enough about modern bodybuilding to worry about getting big arms, the ideas I presented here may be just the spark you need to change your mind. One question you may have is, well, if you're looking to build a body that's earned through heavy manual labor and the like, why would you worry about isolation? If the muscles will grow as a byproduct of the work you do, what's the point? Well, here I have two answers for you. One is that to get as big as he was, assuming the Hercules was sculpted using a real person as the model, we can safely assume he was doing some training to supplement his main work. While the act of wrestling and carrying heavy things will get you big and strong, it only makes sense that some additional work to bring up weak points or strengthen strong ones would be included. My second answer ties directly into the first. If using isolation allows you to speed up the process, why wouldn't you do it? If carrying heavy things leads to that strong and traditionally functional look, and the weight you can carry is limited by the strength of your arms, why not use what's available to you and target the arms directly as a way to increase your carry strength? Finally, to end off this video, I thought you might be interested in seeing what I've been doing recently to build my arms. 2 to 3 times a week I lift heavy stones or sandbags, which has added a lot of thickness to my forearms and biceps. On another day I have a dedicated arm session, and on this day I rotate low rep work with moderate rep work. For a while it's been 10x3 with slow negatives, then 3x10 for the biceps and triceps, plus some forearm work. And the 10x3 probably isn't necessary if you just want bigger arms, but I'm trying to make them stronger for stone lifting, and it's been working very well for that. I do high rep work for the arms on another day that's mainly focused on upper body barbell training. I pump the arms in between sets on my lower body day, and I have a day dedicated to high rep calisthenics, which also works the arms. This has been working very well for me so far, and my carry strength continues to improve. So that's pretty much all I have for you. If you've been neglecting your arms, maybe it's time to get the idea of the modern gym bro out of your mind and start viewing the arms as a vital part of a functional body. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, thanks for watching.